Okay, so let's do all Asian Americans think the same? We invited 6 Asian Americans to see the range of their beliefs and values. Okay.
Asian food is better than American food. Three, two, one.
Yes, everyone's like instantly yes. Like technically American food, right? That is just from America. Isn't it Southern food and hamburgers? Because people would be like, oh no, there's pizza. I'm like, well, technically that's Italian. So if you count that as American food versus Asian food has like so many varieties. There's Japanese, there's Chinese, there's Korean. And I think Chinese and Japanese are like one of the top cuisines to me. So I would say strongly agree, Asian foods are better.
Sending you, Aussie.
Wow, that guy's from Texas. I'm just kidding.
Wait, describe American food though.
Exactly.
I just thought of hamburgers and like. When I
Like
hear
hamburgers
American
and
food,
meatloaf and stuff?
Yeah, and meatloaf and mashed potatoes and
Yeah.
stuff. So I'm like, of course, Asian food's better than that.
American barbecue though. Yes, that is there is a difference in that. And I think American barbecue is pretty good, but I think Korean barbecue is also very yummy.
I was just denied Asian food for a long time. My mom wanted to be Caucasian. She wanted me to grow up as a white person. And I think I was maybe 10 or 11 when I truly like experienced Korean cuisine. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
What she's saying,
Why
I
does she
find
sound
really
like she's
common
about to
because
cry all the time?
When I grew up, my parents were both people from Vietnam. Like, they wanted us to assimilate as much as possible and not be made fun of. So I love Asian food too. I am, but I'm from Texas, so I grew up on like
I told you.
fried steak and biscuits and all that kind of stuff. So I fucking love American food.
I have felt pressure to date within my own race.
Oh, holy shiz.
One.
I would strongly agree. Unfortunately, I felt high pressure. They're great parents, and even the way they tried to do it wasn't terrible. They weren't like, we're gonna disown you. They were very much like, just think about it logically. If you wanna keep up the culture, and you know Korean, and we know Korean, I'd wanna be able to talk with my son-in-law.
Greetings to all.
Yeah, I think that is a very Asian thing, right? I don't know if white people are forced to be with white people. But yeah, I was highly encouraged to date a Korean and be with a Korean. But the 2 people I were with were Vietnamese and now Taiwanese, so. I take my own role. Wow, these people. Oh, I thought
My
everyone
dad
would go to
doesn't
one
care.
side.
He's happy no matter if I'm happy. My mom never specifically said it, but it was almost like if I don't bring home a Korean or a Caucasian, which is her preference, like I don't know if she's gonna disown me. I don't know. Will she kind of push away a little?
Doesn't it not make sense for her though? Isn't she the one who said my mom never cooked Korean food because she wants to be, the mother wanted to be insanely Caucasian? Her story kind of doesn't make sense. If your mom wants to be extremely Caucasian, she'd want you to date a white guy.
At one point in time, we're very happy, like, you need to marry like a Vietnamese person. But as I got older,
I
I
don't get
understood why for them, because it's more about we just want to be able to relate to the person that you're actually with, so we can talk to them too.
For me, it's really interesting because I'm actually married to a black woman. I'm Chinese Malaysian, but I grew up with a white father. Like, white people were definitely always an option, but then, other groups of people, it's like, well, we're not really sure that they're like that great.
That often seems to be the case. It's like you can date white or Asian and everyone else
Yeah.
off the table
Oh.
for some reason.
Yeah, I agree on that point. This is really unfortunate, but I know a lot of people or a lot of my friends who were Asian, and if they were to bring home an African American or a Hispanic Latino or someone who's not white or Asian home, like they would be judged, and I'm like, that's messed up. I vibe with this guy.
Are funny. 3, 2, 1.
Wait, I agree.
Are funny? I feel like, somewhat disagree.
Wait, why? I think they're funny. I mean, they're. Okay, let's listen to what the stereotypes are.
Making in your head during
Well,
that
in my
moment.
head is like stereotypes are a reflection of perceived behavior, and also I write
He's a
comedy.
psych major.
And so I'm constantly thinking of ways to maybe subvert a stereotype to get a laugh. I feel like it's always dangerous though, because you never know if the joke is going to be perceived as like, oh, they're making fun of the stereotype or they're reinforcing the stereotype.
But even then, you're saying like the stereotype itself is not funny, but your subversion of it is.
Okay,
So
maybe.
He's like, oh, I really like this guy. He's very funny.
I'll move down. See,
I think I'm just like tired of like Asian stereotypes and jokes are so played out. If it's the same shit that we've heard for the last 50 years in like American culture, then like miss me with that. It's so boring at this point. I don't find it funny.
Well, I totally understand from another point of view how that's
Aw, the
absolutely
sad
appropriate.
Courtney.
But from a personal level, I'm not offended. I'm not hurt.
So with the stereotypes, wow, you must be good at math. I'm like, thank you. I'm actually pretty happy if you think I'm good at math when in actuality I suck at math. Like I would be in the middle. The being a bad driver, right? I'm a bad driver. I think it's funny. Hey.
I can't believe everybody disagreed with that shit.
Right? I think they're funny.
What?
These people all said
Yeah,
disagree.
Not a single person would have thought that was funny.
Okay, I had faith in
Every
this
single
guy,
one
except for
would've been
this
like-
guy.
Yeah, I feel like this guy got peer pressured.
Yeah, he did.
Like, if I were there, I'd be all the way to like the agree part. Almost all Asian comedy is about Asian stereotypes. Every single Asian comedian jokes about Asian stereotypes.
Some of them are actually,
It's sad.
yeah, that's kind of true.
What's an example, I guess?
yeah, actually, I might move again.
I might would yes!
Me as a
This
Korean,
guy!
If I were to say something about like how I feel like a lot of Koreans behave,
They're thinking about just racism. They're like, racism isn't funny. Like, no,
No,
shit, we're
racism is
talking
not
about
funny.
Stereotypes used in comedy.
Yeah. No, but Kai made a point is that people would hide their racism under that stereotype and just say it's a joke, but they were actually being racist. That I don't
Yeah, it's
agree
more so
with.
like,
K-pop, like boy bands, it could be funny and it's not necessarily an offensive stereotype.
But the growing up with like Asian men,
I like this
and
guy.
all sorts of other emasculating kind of stereotypes, those kind of stereotypes play into like,
Oh.
why can't I be the love interest?
Okay, so do you think it's funny when they say like Asian men have small dicks?
well, you remember The Hangover?
Yeah.
That part when
Yeah,
the dude
Ken
had
Jeong.
a small ass dick? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was funny to me.
Okay, well, because this guy, I think I can kind of understand for Asian males, especially. He's like, I have a small dick,
I mean,
but
obviously
you find it
can't
funny.
just go up to an Asian guy and be like, you have a small dick. Like, that's
you're-
not funny. But in The Hangover, the way they did it was pretty funny.
Chris, because I have a small penis, but I don't actually know that, and why does it matter?
What you're talking about is like a stereotype that's been put upon Asians by non-Asians. If we Asians want to talk about like subcultures in Asia and like make fun of shit, totally down. Might find it funny. We'll see how the joke is. Totally. I guess like when you say, when the statement is Asian stereotypes are funny, I'm often thinking about Western stereotypes about Asians. And I'm like, no, it's not funny. You know what I mean?
Dudes like Henry are not worried because they're low-key packing.
Oh, shiz. Oh. Oh. No,
okay,
I disagree.
We do in the sense of like, our culture promotes success.
Mm-hmm. Like our discipline.
We're more likely to be successful because of the way we're raised in our culture.
Yes.
But I won't say that's easier. That can actually be
No.
tougher.
So
that one
that's what
sucks.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? Affirmative action?
yeah.
Yeah, that makes it insanely difficult, you know? Because our culture and the way children are disciplined and households disciplined, like, I think if anything, we have it just as hard. There's this level you have to meet. So to say that we have it easier, no. We work really hard, and if anything, we have to work even harder. Let's go on. Oh, come on. People, yes! Yes, I like this guy! This guy's my favorite.
When you say it has it easier, I think
You
it
up.
discounts the amount of work that's gone into building those communities up, people working up towards, becoming professionals or white-collar professionals. Like, I don't think Asians have it easier. I think many Asians have just fought harder.
That's he essentially summed up my ideas. We don't have it easier. If anything, we have it harder.
Saying the other communities don't, I think they have earned it.
I think that part of like how white supremacy works to kind of like cover up is to say like, well, if this one group of minorities is doing so well, then there can't be racism in this country. We as Asian Americans have to understand that we are props for white supremacy when we buy into the idea that all of this stuff that we've gotten is purely through our hard work.
I do think Asians do have it easier just because we're not portrayed so negatively.
Yeah, we don't have as many like overtly like negative stereotypes that are like thrown at us, you know?
I mean, like, you look at immigration, and like, nobody's freaking out about Asians coming into the country, which
Context, this was made before Corona, so.
It's just been interesting to me to see, especially also like Asian Americans that are okay with it because it's not them right now. In that sense, I'm like, oh, we must have it easier because we're not concerned about what's happening to other people.
I would move to my heritage country permanently.
No.
3, 2,
Strongly disagree.
1.
I would not survive.
Super conflicted on this one.
Aw. Okay. There we go.
I went to the motherland maybe like 5 years ago, and I thought that it was just gonna be like so much fun and they were gonna like be accepting, and for the most part they are. But when I went there, I realized like I'm not from here.
She is voicing exactly what I went through. Cause like when I go to Korea, in a weird way, I get treated with racism. Oh, you didn't grow up here? You're a foreigner? So in Korea, if anything, I get treated like not so well. And everyone's like, look, it's a foreigner. And I'm like, Jesus, I don't even get that in America. Like if I walk around, people are like, oh my God, it's a foreigner. I'm talking about, so would you move to your home country permanently?
No.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't.
Like it was really pretty obvious.
I mean, I definitely want to connect to the culture that I was born into, but also a huge part of my identity is my queerness. And in Malaysia, LGBTQ people definitely don't have the same legal protections, if they have any protections at all. And so that is painful to know that if I went back, I wouldn't be accepted.
It's a funny thing that happens when I go back to China, which is like the feeling that I never get here, which is like when you walk onto a public street, you feel like you're not identified by what you look like, which is amazing. But that being said, like I feel culturally, I'm American. I love being here, and I think that being like an individual with freedom is like part of who I am, in the sense that like, I wouldn't necessarily fit in China. And I feel like so much of the time we're like asked to be like, well, are you Asian or are you American?
Asian culture is important to me.
I would say Asian culture, it's important in terms of family. It's important in terms of me keeping relationships with my grandma, my cousins, my mom and dad. See, he's peer pressured.
Yeah, it's important to me.
Everyone's like,
It's all right.
It's okay, we just want to know what you think.
I mean, like, I think about this a lot. Is like sometimes I forget that I'm Asian, and then like it's kind of jarring to be reminded that I am.
Were you raised like with strong cultural values and stuff?
I was raised, I'm a military brat. And so even though I grew up in Korea, it was on the military base. And so it was like an American high school in like a small American city in the middle of Seoul. Me and my brother were usually the only Asian kids. So I remember kind of like, do I want to stand out as like the only Asian kid, or do I just want to be another one of the kids?
I think there can be balance in that. And that was the biggest problem I had growing up, is that I didn't know if I wanted to be American so bad. I thought I had to choose a side, and then eventually I was like, look, both are part of who I am. But what has furthered this strongly agree part is that I have a 3-year-old child. He's half Chinese, half Vietnamese, and I don't want him to live with the confusion that I grew up with.
For me, like, it actually, I feel a lot of pain still and a lot of grief, because when we moved to the US, and you know, this was like in a time still where you need to speak to your kids in English. They have to just know English, and anything else will confuse them. So my mom stopped speaking to me in Hakka, and I forgot that language. And we also didn't really celebrate any cultural traditions, you know, Chinese or Malaysian, or Chinese and Malaysian. I have no idea what that really is. And so my culture is important to me, but I'm still like trying to find my way back to it.
It's like you grow up, you're like socialized to fit in, right? And it often means casting aside like the culture that you grew up in. I feel like we're all experiencing it to some degree of like, hey, should I like look into like where I came from more? It's a great thing if you can be proud of where you came from.
I would say, I guess I'm spoiled because me growing up in California, I didn't get that.
No, what is this girl talking about? What kind of Asian parent is like, no, I'm gonna drop my language and start speaking only English to you?
She even said when we moved, it was sad because her parents said we're gonna stop. Malaysia.
Oh, that's because she's from a country that already speaks English. Malaysians already speak English, so it's okay for them. Like, I'm like, my parents can't just drop Chinese.
But yeah, again, like when these people were saying I have to give it up because of like the people around me, I'm like, not really, because no, for you though.
What?
Didn't you have to give it up a little bit?
Give up what?
Your like culture to fit in with the friends around you.
Yeah, when I was in grade school.
Yeah, for me, no, because like we celebrated it. Again, I think I'm very blessed to have grown up in California and be in an environment where they celebrate everyone's kind of culture.
That was so fun.
That was interesting.
Oh my goodness.
That was very, very
Can I be friends with all of you on social media?
I would love to be.
Yeah.
Get some context.
And they never saw each other again. That's basically the story
That was
of
the
it.
end.
Yeah, that was the end.